Hello, my name is Shailendra Chaudhary, and in this video I'll show how to deploy Azure Kubernetes Service cluster using Terraform and Azure DevOps pipeline. So let's start. This slide shows all the resources which will be created in this video. On the left side of the screen are the prerequisite resources which have to be created before deploying the cluster. So the first resource which will be created is Service Principal. Azure Kubernetes Cluster requires Service Principal to access different resources as well as interact with them, like Container Service and Virtual Network. And then we have to manually create the Azure Key Vault, where we'll create the different secrets like SSH public key, which will be used by AKS cluster nodes to connect to each other passwordless. And the SPN client ID and the secret will be stored in the Azure Key Vault. So when we'll deploy the cluster, these values will be fetched directly from the Azure Key Vault, and these sensitive information will not be passed as a plain text. Right side of the screen shows the resources which will be deployed using Terraform and Azure DevOps pipeline. First, we'll create the VNet and the subnet, and then the AKS cluster and the node pool within that subnet. So let's start with the prerequisite resources first. I have created a GitHub repo for this video. This is AKS Terraform is the name of the repository, and there is one PowerShell script which I have created for the prerequisite steps. Let me show you. These are some of the parameters which have to be provided to run this PowerShell script. First, it will create a key vault service, and once it's created, it will generate a SSH key. Once SSH key is generated, that SSH key will be stored into the key vault secret, and the service principal client ID and the secret will also be stored in the key vault service. And finally, the service principal will be provided access to the key vault secret using the access policy. So let's start deploying. I have opened the PowerShell in the Cloud Shell because we will be using the PowerShell script. So let's open the editor and copy paste from the GitHub. I'll copy the value of these parameters from a text file which I've saved somewhere else. So as you can see, the key vault name, which is AKS demo cluster key vault, location is Australia East, key vault RG is AKS demo RG, same way SSH key secret, how it should be named, and the SPN client ID, and all these details are provided. Only one of the value is missing, which is SPN client secret, which we have to create now. Let's go to Azure Active Directory, app registrations, applications. This is the service principal for our DevOps pipeline. Let's click on this, certificates and secrets, and we'll create a new client secret, AKS demo. We'll provide in the description, and we'll copy the value and provide it into our script. This is highly sensitive information because using the client secret, anyone can log into the Azure. However, in this case, I'll delete the secret before uploading the video. Be very careful while using these client secrets. I'll save this, aks.ps1. Let me increase the size of this, aks.ps1. So a resource group is created now. Now the key vault is also. So for the SSH, we'll not provide any passphrase. So secrets are getting created. And the script completed successfully. So let's check. We'll go to the key vault. We can see the three secrets. One is AKS SSH public key, SPN ID, and the SPN secret. And if we'll go to the access policies, you can see my user is provided access along with the SPN. So that's good. Now these were the prerequisite steps for creating the AKS cluster. Now I'll show you the Terraform templates which I have created for the cluster. If I'll go to main.tf, you can see in the data it's pulling the value from the Azure Key Vault, and it's pulling the secrets for the SSH public key, SPN ID, SPN secret, and then it's creating the virtual network and the subnet. It's creating the resource group for the AKS, and finally creating the AKS cluster with the default node pool. And here you can see the client ID and secret for the service principal are provided to the AKS cluster. If we'll check in the variables, all these values are set as variables, which is provided in the form of auto.tfvars. So these are the values. VNet name will be AKS VNet, SSH key which is created and saved in the key vault, and these are the CIDR ranges, and the resource group for the key vault name, region, and the cluster name. And finally the agent pool will be the pool 1 with the 2 nodes, and this will be the SKU size and the disk size. So now I'll deploy these Terraform templates using the Azure pipeline. So I'll log into my Azure DevOps. I'll go to the same project which I have been creating videos on, YouTube app service. Go to the pipeline, create a new pipeline. Go to GitHub. And AKS Terraform is the repo. I'll create a startup pipeline. And let's create the steps. Show assistant, Terraform. As you can see, the Terraform CLI. But before this, I want to show how this Terraform CLI is coming. So if we'll go to the manage extensions, I have added an extension, Azure Pipeline Terraform Task. So you can go to the marketplace and look for this extension. There you can find it. And you can get it free and install it on the DevOps project. However, in my case, I have already done it, so I don't need to do it. Let's go to the pipeline again. I'll click on Terraform CLI. So there are multiple steps which we have to perform to run the Terraform. First, we have to initialize, then we have to plan, and then apply. So if we'll start with initialize, current working directory, the backend is local. I'm not storing the Terraform backend into Azure storage, so I'll just keep it local and add. Then I'll add another task. I'll provide the display name as Terraform. It's a good idea to provide the display name because whenever you run the pipeline, otherwise Terraform CLI will show in the steps. Now it will show the Terraform init step is performing right now. Let's add another task for the plan. Terraform CLI and plan. I don't want to send any telemetry. Because this is the third-party extension, so it runs for Azure, AWS, and Google. But here we are running on the Azure, so I'll select the Azure Service Connection and add. I'll add the display name here also. Terraform plan. And one more thing, I don't want to trigger this pipeline whenever I make a change, so I'll make it none. And first I want to see whether the plan is working fine. If everything goes well, then I'll add the apply step. So let's save it and run. So it's waiting for the agent to run. So it has started now, it's downloading the file. Terraform has initialized and Terraform plan is running now. As you can see, the plus is the create, and AKS cluster will be created with the resource group, subnet, and the virtual network. So this is good. So let's add the last step, which is apply. Go to edit pipeline. And let's search for Terraform CLI and apply step. In the provider, I have to provide the service connection and add. And I'll add the display name. Terraform apply. Save and run. Now it will repeat all the steps. It will initialize, then it will plan, and then finally it will apply. And now the apply step is running. As you can see, first resource group is created, then virtual network, then subnet, and then cluster. It's getting created right now. It took around 4 minutes, and now AKS cluster is deployed. So let's check this in portal. As you can see, our cluster is running. 1.21.7. This is the version which we provided. This is default version right now. Node pools, there is one pool should be there, pool 1, and there are 2 nodes created in it. So that's good. Let's try to log into this cluster. I'll change it from PowerShell to Bash because we have to run the AZ-CLI command to get the credentials of the Kubernetes cluster. kubectl is the command line tool which is used for the management of the cluster, and kubectl requires kubeconfig. So we'll run the AZ-CLI command. I'll copy the resource group name and the name of the cluster, which is AKS demo cluster. Now the context is saved and a kubeconfig is also saved. So let's check kubectl get nodes. And perfect, you can see there are 2 different nodes in the cluster. So in this video, we have deployed the AKS cluster using Terraform and the Azure DevOps pipeline. However, there were some prerequisite steps which we have performed using the PowerShell. The details of the Terraform template and the PowerShell script will be provided in the description. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.